Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second match in this Kirby and the Amazing Mirror 80% tournament doubleheader. This match will be between Thomas and MusiQuil. It should be a pretty good fight. Both runners are friends with one another. A little bit of friendly competition here. Thomas, I believe, has a 31-minute PB. MusiQuil, only just a couple weeks ago, breaking the 30, getting a mid-low 29 PB, so that's feeling pretty good. Quill thought he was done with any percent after this tournament, but after, I guess we'll call that motivation, he's found some new inspiration to continue running any percent, so this should be good. Quill, however, has been having a bit of trouble with this game recently. It hasn't been kind to him. He's been reporting input drops here and there, so hopefully we'll see some good, consistent gameplay there by Quill and hasn't gone to his head at all. Thomas has a reputation for being really reset heavy. If something goes wrong, Thomas resets. So hopefully that doesn't sort of derail him in this competition. He does have a 31 PB, but if I imagine if he ends up stringing together a good run, he's definitely capable of an excellent time in this category. So, if you were here earlier for the Mobu versus Swordman Kirby fight, I will probably repeat a lot of things I said in that earlier match, so bear with me for the people who are new coming in and haven't seen a Kirby and the Amazing Mirror 80% run before. He's gonna PB because he's not gonna reset. There you go. And there we go. We're off. Quill's stream is a tiny bit behind here, but hopefully we'll get that synced out. So yeah, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. It's going to start out in this introductional tutorial section. We're going to have two tricks back-to-back, the first of which is a gate skip, where pressing a button and then some tight jumping afterwards is going to allow us to clip underneath that gate. Excellent work there by Thomas. Quill shortly behind him. And after this, we have a mix opportunity, hitting this Cupid into the Sword Knight together. Inhaling them both and hoping for wheel. Thomas getting cooked, though. Is Quill going to do any better? Quill, first try wheel. So we want to mix those two enemies together for wheel because wheel is the fastest way to move horizontally through rooms in this game. It's just an all-around broken, busted ability. You're dealing damage the whole time you're wheeling, and you can only get hit out of wheel during the turning animation. Thomas having a lot of problems with this trick, though. Oh my goodness, magic one slot beforehand. This is a consistent... Oh my god, the red Kirby! Oh no! So these mixes are a consistent trick since... the roulette starts in the same place every time, depending on which enemy enters your mouth first, in which case, that is the Sword Knight. So wheel is always going to be at the same point in the roulette. All you have to do is time that 4-frame trick, and you're off. Thomas very much in a hole right now behind Quill. Ugh, Quill already at the Warp Star. 123 Warp Star, a pretty okay time there. So we are on a linear path towards the first boss, King Golem, but after that, our runners are going to branch out into the world to defeat the remaining 7 bosses in pretty much any order they desire. Of course, it is faster to beat some bosses before others, so we'll see if we'll have any route differences between the two runners. That's why we have the icons underneath each game feed here. We're going to mark off which bosses each player has beaten, and hopefully from there we can sort of get a feeling of who's more ahead. So this game is mostly about wheel movement. We're going to see a lot of other abilities. We're going to see stone for sure. We're going to see fire. We're going to see missile. But this run is dominantly going to be used with wheel. But not right now, though. We're going to discard wheel, and we're going to pick up stone, since stone is arguably one of the best abilities in this game for fighting bosses. It does a lot of damage, and provided you're hitting something that is a moving target, so you're not just stuck inside their hurt box while you're in stone, such as King Golem here, it mostly takes 6 hits there. So we're going to do 2 groups of 3, and King Golem is going to be annihilated. That was a 258 Golem, a pretty good split there for Quill. So Quill is running on the North American version of this game. Thomas is running on the Japanese version. There's a couple of differences between the two. The most notable and more relevant one for speedrunning is that when you soft reset, say after a boss, you have to wait through the whole press start animation before it'll allow you to input to go to the main menu. So although that's not a lot of time, you do soft reset quite a bit in this run, so it's seconds lost to Japanese. Also, missile does less damage in the North American version, but hopefully that won't come up. We'll see though. Thomas has destroyed King Golem. So both runners are going to be on their way to the South Rainbow Route Gate here. This will open up pretty much the rest of the game for them. From here, you can go to Radish Ruins or continue going west to Carrot Castle. We'll see where Quill goes. Alright, so Quill is heading to Carrot Castle. This has sort of been the newish route for any percent. There's been a mix that's been popularized over the last couple while of hitting two Foley's together just outside of that Rainbow South Gate for Wheel to go to Gobbler, and that mix has basically opened up any percent quite a bit because you can now do the Gobbler segments without having to do it after beating Mega Titan. So instead, what's been timed to be the fastest is doing Mega Titan first, not soft resetting after you beat Mega Titan, so you keep Wheel since we're going to battle Mega Titan with Wheel, and then Wheel down to the South Gate, and then do the Radish Ruin segment. Thomas getting the South Gate, we're going to see what route he does. This game does have co-op speedruns, but it's a bit of a meme due to the amount of input lag that playing multiplayer introduces. It's kind of kuso, but it's a fun run to watch nonetheless. I wouldn't recommend doing it. So Thomas is doing the more traditional routes of doing Radish Ruins second, I should say. This is sort of the route most people were doing before doing Mega Titan second was a big thing. Quill going through the spike maze, as you saw there, Quill discarded Wheel, but then re-inhaled it. That's if he messes up in the cannon spike maze and blasts himself into spikes, he will not lose his Wheel. It's safe in his mouth, and all he has to do is swallow it before entering the next room. So Thomas in quite a bit of a hole here in the early game. Thomas did not have a great start at all. Possibly 5th or 6th try Wheel, and he had to waste time calling his allies out of the room. A big time loss. Thomas has a lot to dig himself out of. So this is a Mega Titan. We're going to fight him with Wheel. Normally we want to use Rock or Fire or something for bosses, but Mega Titan is different. The only way to damage him is with Beam, Spark, or by hitting him into the electrified walls. The second form is very easy. That unprotected head is easily ran over by Wheel. And because we get to keep Wheel, we're not actually going to soft reset here to skip the Kirby Dance cutscene. We can skip Wheel, and the game will put us next to the last hub switch mirror we entered, which is the Rainbow East mirror. We're going to see Quill not soft reset through this cutscene, spawn at the Rainbow East mirror, and Wheel down to the South Gate to go to Radish Ruins. So Radish Ruins is often done towards the start of runs because Meta Knight, the boss of the area, and his next door neighbor Molly are two of the most RNG-filled bosses in the game. Meta Knight really loves to randomly block your attacks, causing them to do no damage and just wasting your time, and Molly even more so. Depending on the patterns you can get, Molly can just have a free 30-second time loss that you can't really do anything about. So getting them out of the way so you can, not have to play through a lot of your run and then have to reset. Great vertical room there by Quill, beating that final roly-poly. So Thomas is going through this vertical room. It's actually faster to exhale and then use your regular jump than continue floating upwards. That's because your initial speed boost when you start a jump is faster than the constant rising speed of flying. So that makes these vertical rooms a bit more interactive than they otherwise would be. So another cool thing about this game, I say cool, but it's kind of annoying, is whenever you hit an enemy, the game freezes for about 3 frames in order to deliver an effect that you're really hitting and doing damage. However, this really adds up over the course of the run, so we are going to see our runners try to avoid enemies as much as possible. And Thomas is in Meta Knight right now. He's going to be fighting Meta Knight with Sword. The goal here is to use those crouch stabs to try and trigger Meta Knight to do an attack, hopefully jump over and do a down stab leading up to follow-ups. Thomas, that was not the worst Meta Knight I've ever seen, but that also wasn't the best. Meta Knight can be kind of annoying. Again, that random blocking is not super great. And sometimes Meta Knight will not down stab, it'll do a full jump, and if you're not accounting for that, you can easily get hit and lose a lot of time. So Thomas is going after Meta Knight's next door neighbor, Molly. So we want to grab a stone for Molly for this segment, because not only can we get through this peg here, it also dominates the mini-boss in our way to Molly, Bonkers. And it's from this Bonkers that we can have a bit of a strategy difference between runners. Some runners decide to do hammer, like Thomas is doing, or they can get the throw statue, that fan right there, for the fight. Now, hammer is good for Molly because that up B attack, that fire hammer, does massive damage. And is incredibly good if you get floor patterns where Molly does not throw anything that you could get with throw. I believe Quill uses throw just like that damage there. But anything else, throw is generally better. Alright, hopefully Quill has a clean Meta Knight fight here. Oh yes, okay, Thomas having a bit of a lackluster Molly there. Quill could be following up these crouch stabs with neutral air attacks, that sword spin to deal a couple of extra damage. He might be done with the fight if you get a couple of those in, but that's in the past now. Gets the Mirror Shard. There we go. Now the overlay got stuck there. So Thomas is wheeling his way on over to Care Castle while Quill goes to take care of Molly. Thomas running into a couple of problems with that Heavy Knight and that Waddle Doo. That room can be very annoying depending on what enemy patterns you get. Sometimes you're just hosed and have to get hit. Oh, the chip playing defenses! Quill takes the top path here. This top path that we saw Thomas opt not to take is faster by, like, I want to say, like, 0.2 seconds. But, yeah, only if you do it flawlessly. Oh, but the Bonkers, what is that? What is this Bonkers avoiding the hit there? So Quill will be doing the Molly fight with throw. The tactic here is to grab an object that Molly throws, turn backwards, and rub that thing all over Molly's face, dealing lots of damage. Hopefully Molly will do an attack pattern that causes him to stay up in the same hole, allowing us to basically eliminate his entire health bar. Will we get... Oh, unfortunately out of position there, only gets one hit. Hopefully this will be a bit better. Only needs at least hit and a half here. So this was not the best Molly that we've ever seen, but that is just Molly in a nutshell. Not a whole lot you can do. Thomas in Carrot Castle for the Spike Maze, doing the Fat Kirby strat. As you see there, Quill had to wait for that press start to go before he could press start. The Japanese players do not need to wait for that. Or the Japanese version does not need to wait for that. And here's the mix that makes Mega Titan first a thing, hitting these two fullies together. Wheel is the first thing on the ability wheel, so you just have to immediately time it. It's not like the wheel mix we had to do at the start of the game, and we're off. Quill losing a tiny bit of time, not getting that first try. Doing Mega Titan first and doing that wheel mix only saves about less than 2 seconds if you're playing perfectly on both routes. So in order to really make the version change useful, you have to nail the tricks that make the route possible in order to not lose time. Thomas wheeling into the Mega Titan fight. So far, a pretty good fight. He got the reversed hit. Cocoon, it is definitely not 6 seconds. There we go. Thomas having a pretty good Mega Titan head fight. So both runners are now going to be doing the Gobbler split. Both runners have also defeated the same mini bosses, so now we have a good view there of how far ahead Quill is. Thomas's morale is not great right now. I believe he accidentally reset his timer. He's been quite pessimistic in the SpeedGaming chat so far, but I wouldn't give up yet. We got a lot of race to run left. We still got some stuff coming up. Candy Constellation has ruin runs for some people in this tournament, and especially Dark Mind. So it's not over for Thomas. That Boxy. Unfortunately, that Boxy moving over to the left side of the screen, you really want to sort of manipulate Boxy in a way so you can get it to the right screen to eliminate the amount of time it takes to wheel out. But we got ourselves UFO Mix, getting those two Folies together. Fire! Excellent work there by Quill. In the next room, there's a bomb block that we need to hit through a wall. Both UFO and Fire work to hit it. And thankfully, they're right next to each other on the ability wheel, which makes that a very forgiving mix when compared to the other mixes required in the any % route. And there's the bomb block. Quill gets it. I'm going to skip the button. I believe both runners have decided to skip over the first Olive Ocean switch. Some runners who decide to get that switch have access to Missile for the Krakow segment of the run. Missile is the fastest way to move through vertical rooms in this game, and that Krakow segment definitely has its fair share of those, making it objectively the fastest way of doing it. However, Missile is very difficult to control on a controller, so a lot of runners would end up losing more time than it's worth trying to go for Missile Krakow. Thomas making his way to UFO Mix. He has to beat a first try to save time. Throws mad. Oh my gosh, Thomas really struggling here. There's another trick runners can do called Sword Skip in lieu of this. Thankfully, Thomas gets it third try. That's definitely time he did not want to lose to Quill there. All right, so Quill just got Stone here, and Quill is going to hopefully hold on to Stone all the way until the Gobbler fight. Stone dealing massive damage to Gobbler. However, between him and the Gobbler fight is this swimming section. There's no air above him, so if he were to get hit by one of these glunks or a stray blipper, he loses Stone and has to do the fight with probably Sword, and that wastes a lot of time. I believe that's one of the only reasons I was able to beat Kidden in my tournament match with him a couple of days ago. But Quill getting through this room without any problems. So the strat for Gobbler is just to drop a rock on him. Now, we could get lucky here and have Gobbler do the attack where he shoots out those ads he makes, those guppies, right there, but Quill wasn't right on top of it. That's fine. Gets the backup. Those guppies, if you hit them, can create those lag frames I was talking about that players want to avoid while wheeling. We actually want it there for that fight because it holds you in the water for slightly longer inside of Gobbler's hitbox, and you can maybe get a one cycle out of it and save a lot of time. Quill out of Olive Ocean and heading to Candy Constellation. So Candy Constellation is a bit of a Monka-esque section. There's a lot of really difficult wheel sections, one after another, and a simple input mistake, a simple mistiming of a jump can lead you to lose wheel down a hole, and thus basically almost a minute and a half from your run. So we're going to see if our runners can do that section cleanly. Before we get to Candy Constellation, we do need to go through this interim section in Peppermint Palace. Thomas getting through the swimming room without any problems. He's going to be carrying Stone to Gobbler. Fortunately, not getting the one cycle and a bit of a rusty backup there, accidentally swimming upwards instead of attaching to the floor, but that is fine. Thomas gets the Gobbler Shard. Quill on the Warp Star up to Candy Constellation proper. So lots of bottomless pits in Candy Constellation. Hopefully Quill won't run into any problems. If Quill does lose wheel here, that'll open Thomas up quite a bit of time to regain. Provided he also doesn't lose wheel in Candy. Again, I don't really see that happening, though. So we're definitely going to see some lag reduction strats in effect here. Here's one of the rooms I was talking about that can be difficult for some runners. This grid maze filled with lots of enemies, lots of close quarters wheeling. You can definitely get hit by a stray Gordo or a laser beam or something. And the room coming up next for Quill. Oh, Thomas having a bit of issues here. The room Quill's going to go into next is definitely another very difficult room for some people. The star block climb. Everything in here is a destructible star block. And if you get hit by one of these Gordos or Waddle Doo laser beam, it's very hard to suck up your wheel back, since you might accidentally grab a block. But Quill doing the fast strat through this room, no problem. Dude, Thomas getting one of the best patterns possible for that Frosty fight. Mwah! Excellent. Alright, so Quill's attacking this Master Hand fight. That hand fight is a bit more annoying than the fight we had with him in Radish Ruins. That's because he's ever so higher above the ground that a mid-wheel jump will not be able to deal damage to him. We have to unwheel and jump every time. It's a bit of a pain, but Quill made it look like it was a non-issue. So here's that lag reduction I was talking about here. You can take the upper path there with a couple of well-timed jumps to avoid hitting enemies. That room is one of the best examples of how much time you can save just by avoiding a couple of people. Well, that UFO not giving Quill any space, but thankfully he gets left alone. So with none of our runners doing Crackle with Missile, this is the only time we're going to see Missile used in this run. We have a vertical room here in Candy. Lots of tight maneuvering here. I think I'm repeating myself, but Missile is the fastest way to move vertically through rooms. Thomas running into some problems with the grid maze section. So Quill, discard and Missile for Fire. Fire is really good for Master Hand and Crazy Hand because that wide cone of attack. We're going to discard Fire because Master Hand threw us a present. That Stone drops ability stars that we can suck up for Stone. Stone absolutely ruining the boss here. However, if you don't get lucky, Fire is what runners use there because of that wide cone of attack. You can possibly deal damage to both hands at once. Also, Crazy Hand is actually really weak to Fire and dies in significantly less hits than the right hand does. So that's a bit of a cool thing there. Quill is on his way to Krakow. So doing this section without Missile requires you to pick up Burning on your way because silver blocks separate us and the base of the mountain. And there it is. You have to be careful not to scare the mirror here when you're using Burning. If you sprint into using Burning, the mirror will get scared. So you have to do Burning from a neutral walk if you don't want to accidentally scare that mirror. If you do scare the mirror, you have to reload the room, and that's a pretty long trip. It's a lot of wasted time. I've definitely threw a couple of runs accidentally doing that. However, we're on our way. Thomas in the Missile room almost does my strat perfectly. Sends Dark Kirby a message. Speaking about Dark Kirby, in a couple of rooms here for Quill, he's going to run into a Shadow Kirby, and if he gets lucky, Shadow Kirby will drop him a candy. If that happens, he'll make short work of the Battlefire mini-boss that's between him and Krakow. If he's unlucky, the Shadow Kirby will drop him a 1-up or a Maximum Tomato. Unfortunately, Quill gets the tomato. That's fine. Getting Stone here for the Battlefire fight doesn't waste too much time, provided you get a good cycle here. Thomas, oh, getting hit. Oh, Quill could have unrocked there and got the perfect cycle there on Battlefire. Losing a bit of time there, but that's fine. Thomas grabbing the Master Hand and Crazy Hand. Shard. Now for Krakow, drop Stone through him, baby. Oh, getting hit though. Oh, Quill not pressing stone fast enough, getting hit. But that's fine. A little bit of issues there with Krakow, but Quill is one mirror shard away. So it looks like Thomas is dealing with Wiz doing Krakow last. That's cool. Generally, runners save Wiz for last since it is considered one of the easiest segments in the any percent run. There's not a whole lot to it. There's a couple of cool things you can do for wheel optimizations, and there's a cool mix if luck's on your side to set it up. But other than that, it's just smooth sailing to the Wiz fights. Quill is right behind Thomas here. So Quill is an entire Krakow ahead right now, so that puts him in the lead by at least 2 to 2.5 minutes. Thomas waiting at the crossing there for the tornado to go by. So Thomas is in the room where we mix for Hammer, hopefully, depending on if the Sparky's attacking. Thomas just quickly going for it. Luck's not on his side. You have to wait for the Sparky to attack since the Sparky has a larger hitbox while it's electrocuted. Or if you get a frame perfect jump input there, if you get the Sparky while it's jumping. It's not the best. We'll see. Quill's in position to get it. Unfortunately, doesn't get it either. We saw Swordman Kirby earlier get that mix and save a lot of time on Wiz. Again, that upbeat hammer attack dealing insane damage to Wiz, but in lieu of not getting hammer, our strategy is to pick up Parasol and just, hover around Wiz. Be Wiz's best friend for a couple of frames. Just look at this cool thing I have in your face. Alright, Thomas, on his way to Krakow to pick up his last mirror piece. Well, that was not the best Wiz I've ever seen in my life, but it works. Quill completes the mirror and is going to move on to Dark Mind. Now, Dark Mind is the ruiner of runs. There's a lot of RNG involved with this boss. We're going to visit him and then immediately soft reset. That's to tell the game that we've already watched this cutscene. So when we enter it with stone, we can press start and immediately skip the cutscene and resume with the fighting. So yeah, Dark Mind has a lot of RNG involved. Dark Mind can have a couple of attack patterns to just waste your time. Before we get there, though, we have another Dark Meta Knight fight to get through. Strategy is a lot of the same as the first Meta Knight fight. Those slide attacks of Kirby triggering an attack early and then following it up with rock drops. So yes, Dark Mind RNG can waste a lot of your time, especially in Phase 4, but we'll get there when we get there. Alright, so this is Dark Mind. The strategy here is to double star, come in with an ability, discard it, pick up the Master Sword, discard that too, and set up a double star. Double stars are really good because not only do they do a lot of damage, but the way Dark Mind gets hit by them, he gets hit backwards, allowing him to get hit by the double star twice. Massive damage. Thomas, unfortunately, not picking up a candy there. That would have been a nice time save. So for this Dark Mind fight, we're going to get up on this ledge, and that prepares us for pretty much any attack pattern that Dark Mind could throw at us. Alright, so Thomas, 3 rock drops away from Krakow. Unfortunately, only gets the single there. Alright, so for Dark Mind 3, the strat still is to double star, but we could get very lucky and Dark Mind 3 could throw us a fire star or an ice star. If we're able to kill him while he's throwing those stars, oh my god, this is exactly what I was talking about with the time wasting there with Dark Mind 3. If Quill could have gotten a star there, he could have hit that switch through that wall, but look at this! Red Kirby has Parasol. It looks like Quill gave up on that idea right quick. He probably had the idea to call the friends, hopefully hit the button through the wall, but I don't think the AIs are programmed to do that. So we'll have to go around the horn here, grab sword, and hit it. Thomas doing Meta Knight with sword. That's unfortunate. I wonder what happened there. I missed it. All right, so Quill is in Dark Mind 4. A double star is not enough to kill him. However, that's a good thing because... Oh, gets the mix! Oh, excellent Dark Mind 4 there by Quill. Normally, Dark Mind 4 can waste hours of your life over the course of a runner's career, waiting for those green stars to come up. Swallowing a green star instantly triggers a mix, and we want to mix for UFO. That was insane by Quill. So UFO is very good for this Dark Mind 5 fight because not only does the fully charged UFO shot deal a lot of damage, it can also pierce through enemies. And the mirrors that Dark Mind 5 attacks with can also be shot there. As you see, it's broken. That's linked to the same health bar. So if we can shoot that center eye as well as any mirrors connected to him, we can do massive damage and end this fight right quick. Uh-oh, Yellow Kirby using Crash! Oh no! Thomas messes up the double star strat, by the way. Oh no! Yeah, so Thomas is going to take an intentional death here, so he can respawn the Master Sword and hopefully set up another double star. Oh, it looks like Thomas is going to concede the match to Quill. That's unfortunate. Taking the loss pretty hard. Hopefully he'll play out the match. So all that's separating Quill and an excellent race time is this shoot 'em up section with Kirby. He could have a chance to sub 30 if he keeps shots on target here. Come on. 57, 58, 59, doesn't get the sub 30, but barely gets it. 3:01, a great race time there by Quill. And it looks like Thomas is going to concede the race as well. Alright, since Thomas, I believe, is just going to forfeit the match, I'm going to mark him down as a forfeit and get to post-race interviews. All right, so Quill is waiting in the wings here for an interview. Hopefully he's a thing. Hello. There he is. There we go, Quill. Congratulations on your time, a 30:01, a great race time. What did you think?
You know, at first, I didn't think this was going to be a good run at all.
Really? So yeah. Why is that?
So the Mega Titan segment was pretty good. I golded both the segments, and then Moly, I kind of lost it a little bit.
You did Moly with Hammer, correct?
No, I would never do.
No, sorry,
I would never do such a thing.
You never do something like that. Sorry, Thomas did Moly with Hammer. Right, okay.
But I think what really kind of got it was the Gobbler segment. The Gobbler segment, I just felt wasn't nearly as good as it could have been. And that might have just been because I missed the mix, and I was like, oh, I missed the mix. Now the whole route means nothing because I'm not going to save time. And you know, it's fine. But then I golded hands, and that was fine. And then Dark Mind happened.
So that was. Can you walk us through how acing Dark Mind 4 like that feels?
You know, it took me a second. I was kind of shook because I didn't realize that I had actually gotten a double star from that, or a green. Actually, I must have inhaled a green first. So as soon as I saw the mix field, I was like, uh-oh, I don't know what came in first. So I just assumed it was a green one, and thank God I was right.
And then you instantly dropped a UFO.
Yeah,
that was awesome to watch. Okay, yeah. Also joining us in the commentary channel here is Thomas. I'm sorry for what happened during that run. What are your initial thoughts after?
Ooh.
Thomas?
Can't hear him.
Uh-oh. All right, well, Thomas is sorting out his microphone there. So yeah, Quill.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Thomas. Okay. So Thomas,
I forgot to push the top, but yeah, I got him.
Oh, he's not pushing.
Yes, I don't know. But yeah, generally don't care about mine already. I know that I'm not definitely a bad case, and definitely leading me by a minute. I don't care anything. After all.
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I know it's bad to hear, but that's true.
Yeah. So like, unfortunately, it all started off not great for Thomas.
I guess he got no chance. We are net to net at anything basically.
Yeah. So Quill, I don't know if
to catch up.
yeah. So Thomas did get, I believe it was 6th try wheel mix, and also had to finagle with his Kirby allies during the intro. Really set him back in the early game, and I don't think he was able to recover at pretty much any point. Unfortunate.
I think I was getting really nervous for this race because as I was practicing about 20 minutes beforehand, I could not get past the tutorial area. I was I was completely just struggling on gate skip, struggling on wheels. So and I somehow got it in the race. I think I just took a deep breath and it just.
Yeah, that was another thing I wanted to ask, because I was talking to you beforehand, and you were talking about how you were getting really frustrated with this game. You were getting like dropped inputs, nothing was coming in right.
I mean,
like,
that game is needed.
That happened. Yeah, I think it was just because I was getting really I was surprisingly nervous about this race. Surprisingly nervous.
Yeah, that's just tourney jitters for you. You can, no matter who you're up against, you always are on the clock, because not only are you having to race an opponent for a tournament, which you also have like a bunch of people watching you as well, which you have to keep in mind.
And I know Thomas is really good at the early game. So I was thinking to myself, I gotta put my best foot forward.
Yeah. All right. So I believe this marks the end of the tournament for Thomas. Sorry to see you go. Are you gonna keep with Kirby the Amazing Mirror? What are your plans after this tournament?
I don't know. Should I keep writing for the 30? But as I know that I will definitely routing all one-ups one day.
Thomas was telling me this morning that he was starting to feel the burnout, and I totally understand that. I feel like tournaments totally do that to people. It did that to me. It did that to me for Nightmare in Dreamland, actually.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're also sort of like I've had the pleasure of being able to cast a lot of these tournament races, and I've slowly seen just like I'm speaking from a personal level because I'm feeling this myself, but sort of like the overall skill level of Kirby the Amazing Mirror is slowly going up over the duration of this tournament. We saw Pletty this morning get the second 27 in this game.
I watched the VOD and I was so happy to hear him pop off.
Oh my goodness. And just like, oh man, when he and SK fight, it's going to be great, but let's focus on this matchup. So,
I mean, the next matchup is Cuckoo versus Pletty. Though Cuckoo might assume he's gonna lose, but we don't know.
We'll see. It's MK might get lucky again and have a really great DM4, but
true. He got it twice. Imagine got it twice, yeah. So it's best of 3 and after all.
So refocusing back on you and Thomas, are you like motivated? Or are you still feeling the burnout? With Thomas, you said you're getting burned out. How do you feel, Quill? Since you recently, I say recently, it was about like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks, that you got your first 29 in this game. And one of your first comments afterwards was, I thought I was done with any percent, but nope.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it right now?
I'm not done yet, but it's starting to get to me. So I think what's probably going to happen is I'm going to take an any percent break and probably do 100% for a
Heck
little
yeah!
And then once I'm feeling ready, probably during the summer actually, is when I'll get back to any percent and go for that 29. 28, excuse me. But 27 is unreachable. Sorry, SK.
Never say never. All right, so Quill, you are moving on in the loser bracket. You are going to be up against this challenge. Right? Yes.
Ernator, who's going to get a 28 because
Ernator, who might actually, it's up in the air whether or not
doesn't stream off it.
So
I think Quill had chance.
It's actually up in the air whether or not Ernator will stay in the tournament right now. He's encountered a bunch of problems. His GameCube on him died, for one. Second of all, he's back at university right now, and his internet situation is, I would say, dire. So his ability to stream is very handicapped, so we'll see if Ernator can even schedule his race in time for the loser round 3 deadline. So, yeah.
Yeah.
If that match does happen, though, what are your hopes for it? Do you think you can like come from behind? Like, because Ernator, even though he is a 28 player, his race times have not been up to his PB standards. So he got a 31 against me, and then after that he got a high 30. So do you think there's a chance? Like, how are you being motivated into that match?
For sure. I'm gonna go in thinking that he is my equal. That's how I need to approach these races. I can't put my opponent on a pedestal because that's just gonna make me nervous. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, Ernator is just as good a player as I am in this race.
Yeah, and I really hope that match does happen because it's going to be really good either way.
Yeah, and you know, I've got a lot of stuff to focus on. This just being one of them. And if I don't win, that's okay because I've got other stuff I can work on. So, and then I can cheer my friends on. So, it's a win-win.
Yeah, this is a very tight-knit community I've come to find in the past year. All right, so that does it for questions from my end. Do either Quill or Thomas have any closing remarks?
Good job, Thomas. Let's play middle.
Thomas, do you have anything to say?
I don't know. RNG mega, I guess.
Okay.
I don't even also want to RNG though.
All right. GG to both of you. Congratulations once again to Quill defeating Thomas with a 30-minute time. Almost getting to 29. I was counting down the seconds.
Dude, it was so close. It came down to Deep 6. Oh well.
All right.
GG for the waste PB. I think by like a second.
Woo.
All right, so I highly encourage you to follow both of these excellent human beings. You can find Thomas over at twitch.tv/dgenmode. Thomas, what are you up to on your streams nowadays?
Maybe routing or one else, or maybe doing Kirby during an extra mode.
Okay, cool.
I will buy for the lower
Yes! Extra mode. I'm so excited.
All right, so follow Thomas for that. Now, Quill, everybody can find you at twitch.tv/MusiQuil. What are you up to right now?
So, I am going to be doing a fair amount of Katam still, at least until the tournament's over, but I'm working on Nightmare and Dreamland 100% for the relay in March, and I'm going to be picking up Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky again, probably over spring break.
I still need to play Mystery Dungeon Blind on stream. It's been a thing on my bucket list for maybe 3 years, because I still only know that game as a Pokemon roguelike. And
I can tell you, as someone who has finished that game probably 30 to 40 times at this point, it is way more than that.
Oh, baby, I can't wait. All right, I've been TG. You can find me over at Hey I'm TG. I also speedrun Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, but I've been kind of doing offline runs because this game has been kind of discouraging to me lately, but hopefully we can get out of that slump. So yeah, thank you very much to SpeedGaming for hosting and Twitch streaming these events and their support of not only just the Kirby and the Amazing Mirror speedrun community, but so many others. Thank you very much to all the volunteers. And coming up next, I don't really have a lot to throw to in the SpeedGaming universe. I believe over on the main SpeedGaming channel, we still have a Castlevania. Oh, goodness, how do I pronounce that? Order of Ecclesia? I've never played the game, but there's a showcase for it going on right now, so that's probably dope. And going on SpeedGaming 2, there's a Zelda 1 randomizer weekly race. So, why don't you pop on over and see how those are doing? Once again, I've been TG. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you back for more Kirby the Amazing Mirror speedrun stuff. It looks like the next scheduled match is Tuesday, February 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Demolition 14 is taking on Sniper, so be there for that. Have a great night, everybody.